2NURFM, a broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.
It's Tuesday, after the federal election. Am I wrong in realising that we weren't counting votes yesterday because they had the day off?
No, though, I think they're waiting for votes to be delivered so that they could then resume counting today. The outcome at the moment is, as you know, as everyone knows, still undecided. The coalition is just slightly ahead on known seats, even though they haven't been declared. We think there are 68 seats sitting with the coalition, 67 with Labor. The coalition is 7 seats short of making 50% of the seats. That's 75 seats it needs. It needs 8 seats to have a majority. There are 10 seats in doubt. And it looks, I think, less and less likely that they're going to secure the 8 seats. And the reason I say that is because about 4 of the 10 seats had significant swings to the Labor Party, which well and truly overshadowed, well, not well and truly, I guess they just got past what they needed to secure the seat. Now, if that continues in the remaining votes to be counted, then Labor looks like pulling down maybe 4, perhaps maybe 4 seats. The coalition, on the other hand, will probably secure 5 out of the 10, which will not be enough to get them over the line. It'll give them 73 seats. There's one seat that sort of doesn't fall into that mix. It could still go to the coalition, but that's the seat of Grey in South Australia, which the Nick Xenophon team has absolutely transformed the potential there. They look like pulling that seat away from the Libs, although postal votes, preferences and so forth may still, by a whisker, keep it in the Liberal camp.
So we went to a double dissolution election and the undertow was the micro parties in the Senate. Is it possible that over breakfast this morning while he's having his crumpet and his coffee, Malcolm Turnbull is going, this is what I wanted to avoid, because there's been a bit of a turnaround. Now, the Senate is the only interesting thing to come out of this election. And all I can say is, wow, Pauline Hanson's back. Darren Hinch is in. There is just, the Greens have had a very good run. Nick Xenophon. Wow, it has been an amazing run for the Senate.
Well, I think, unfortunately for Malcolm Turnbull, he didn't get the outcome in the Senate that he really wanted. The Liberal Party will have probably 28 seats in a 76-seat Senate, so it's going to have to rely on a few alliances with others. However, instead of having sort of the Greens as an organised party to contend with, they're still there and they're still organised, and they're still a problem for him. Nick Xenophon is likely to triple his presence in the Senate. He was 1 person, now he might be 3 senators. On top of that, as you say, Pauline Hanson, One Nation, they look like having 3 senators with Darren Hinch. So that gives 7 extra seats that Mr Turnbull would prefer not to have to deal with. And the reason that I put it that way is that both the One Nation and the Xenophon team are more than 1 person, but they're organised. They're not simply random individuals in the parliament who have to learn their way. Yes, One Nation will probably have to learn its way a bit, and Darren Hinch a little, but Nick Xenophon's an experienced operator. They will help each other in some respects, and there are enough policy, shall we say, congruences where they can talk turkey.
Okay, so politics aside of all the individuals in the Senate, Nick Xenophon, interesting. Are we seeing the possibility of a rise of, a 4th party? You've got the coalition, you've got Labor, the Greens. Are we seeing the possibility in the next few years of potentially a replacement for the Democrats?
In a small sense, yes. But when you look at the Xenophon polling across the country, it's a South Australian-based phenomenon. Let me sort of put it that way. Xenophon is very popular in South Australia. He's sort of popular across the country because he stands up and he can be seen to be principled on certain issues, and he's not cowed into submission by, the powers that be. However, the support is largely, I think, in many ways isolated to South Australia. He may well generate a party in South Australia that causes all sorts of problems for both the Coalition and Labor on a state basis. Whether that will translate nationally, I suspect not. I think that the ability for that to translate is not as strong, perhaps, as the Democrats were, because the Democrats drew on a national figure, namely Don Chipp, who was already well known within Liberal circles, and he drew support across the Liberal circles and was able to tap into similar support in South Australia, which helped give them their base. But Xenophon, I think, is much more a South Australian phenomenon. It may transform, as I said, South Australian politics, and it will have an impact federally. And if he's successful in getting a few policy decisions going his way and bringing the government, whichever party is in power, to heel, that might translate and give him some leverage in Victoria and New South Wales. But I think it's mainly South Australia.
Before we let you go this morning, I want you to take out your crystal ball and I'm going to say in 20 words or less, what's the outcome going to be and when are we going to find out?
I suspect we won't get a firm decision until probably a week's time, but it's likely to be a coalition minority government with the support of some independents and in the lower house to assist. How they'll then fare with the Senate is another matter, but I think it's likely that Malcolm Turnbull, all other things being equal, okay, we have to put that caveat in, Todd, because he's got a few knives out being sharpened behind his back, and he may not necessarily survive as leader. The coalition, unfortunately, has a propensity to perhaps do itself damage, which it has done over the past couple of years. That might give Bill Shorten and the ALP an opportunity to become a minority government in their own right if and when Mr Turnbull can't manage to keep his troops in line.